in that.
Content you don't like or hateful? What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
That's key right there.
I need beautiful wings if we accomplishing things. Prostrate, laying low at the feet of the king. I need beautiful wings if we accomplishing things. Keep me in order, I get swayed by beautiful things.
Game Changers, we're back. Another reaction. Listen, I've been wanting to get into this video for a little bit. It's going to be different. It's not going to be a music video reaction, but listen, Elon Musk goes in on this BBC reporter. I saw this, I woke up one morning, I saw this, and I was like, dang, he got him. And listen, I still don't know how I feel about Elon Musk. There's a lot of things that he says that I agree with, but I just don't know enough about him. But before we move on, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, continue to follow the page. We give God the glory in every video that we do. And listen, we're going to give God the glory in every video that we do. And we're gonna look at this video through a Christian's lens. And again, there's a lot of important pieces that I wanted to dissect in this video, so we're gonna go through it. So without further ado, it's called "You Just Lied, Elon Musk Destroys a BBC Reporter." Here we go.
You allow people you don't like to say things you don't like. Otherwise, it's irrelevant. And if at the point at which you lose free speech, it doesn't come back.
I think the issue some people have is that a lot of people were brought back. I mean, some people were brought back who were previously banned for spreading things like QAnon conspiracies. You have people like Andrew Tate who were brought back, who were previously banned for things like hate speech. Do you think you prioritize freedom of speech over misinformation and hate speech?
Here we go. Before we even start, so who defines what hate speech is? You get what I'm saying? And misinformation. So if we're looking at mainstream media, they control what gets pumped out. So how do we know that we don't have, how do we not fact check them? You know what I mean? We should be able to fact check them, but fact check leans a certain way. So they're only going to fact check certain things. So we need to keep that into perspective as well. So here we go.
Well, you know, who's to say that something is misinformation?
Exactly.
Who's the arbiter of that?
Yep.
Is it the BBC?
You're literally asking me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, no, you are the arbiter on Twitter because you own Twitter.
Yes, I'm saying who is to say that one person's misinformation is another person's information? At the point at which you said that there is this is misinformation, like who is going to decide that?
You accept that misinformation can be dangerous, that it can cause real-world harms, that it can potentially cause...
Yes, and the point I'm trying to make is that the BBC itself has, at times, published things that are false.
There it is. Dagger, and it's true. Listen, there's nobody's perfect, and people are going to get things wrong, and even organizations are going to get things wrong. And the problem with news today is they want to get things out first without really checking the stories. CNN is famous for this. BBC, Elon Musk has called him out as well. And listen, I'm sure there's things on Twitter that are misinformation too. I shouldn't say I'm sure. There is things out there. But let adults be adults and choose and decipher what they think is real and not real. You get what I'm saying? Here we go. Awkward.
Do you agree that that has occurred?
I'm quite sure the BBC have said things before that turn out to not be true.
Correct.
In its, whatever it is, 100-year history, I'm quite sure.
Yes. Even if you aspire to be accurate, there are times when you will not be.
We've spoken to people very recently who were involved in moderation, and they just say there's not enough people to police this stuff, particularly around hate speech in the company. Is that
What hate
something
speech are you talking about? I mean, you use Twitter.
Right.
Do you see a rise in hate speech?
I mean,
But just a personal anecdote, like what do you? I don't.
Personally, my For You, I would see I get more of that kind of content, yeah, personally. But I'm not going to talk to the rest of for the rest of Twitter.
So you
But
see more hate speech personally.
I would say I would see more hateful content in that.
Content you don't like or hateful. What do you mean to describe a hateful thing?
That's key right there. Is it what you don't like or is it hateful? And listen, this is the place in society where we're getting on some murky ground, because people call the Bible hate speech, and it's not. Obviously, it's the true speech, and that's the thing. If you don't like something, it doesn't mean it's hateful speech. It's just true speech. So people who call the Bible hate speech are incorrect, because it's the truth. There's things in there that you might have to wrestle with and things of that nature, and that's what convicting you. Same thing with me. I'm a believer in Christ, but there's some things I read in the Bible, I'm like, ooh, that one's tough. That's a tough passage to read. But then when you read the Bible in its entirety, and you see that there's a lot of historical in the Bible as well, it all makes sense, okay? And that's where Elon Musk is getting right here. Is it something you don't like, or is it really hate speech? because there's a difference between the two.
Yeah, I mean, just content that will solicit a reaction, something that may include something that is slightly racist or slightly sexist, those kinds of things.
So you think if something is slightly sexist, it should be banned?
No,
Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. I'm
Well, I'm
saying.
just curious. I'm trying to understand what you mean by hateful content, and I'm asking for specific examples. And you just said that if something is slightly sexist, that's hateful content. Does that mean that it should be banned?
Well, you've asked me whether my feed, whether it's got less or more. I'd say it's got slightly more.
That's why I'm asking for examles.
Right.
Can you name one example?
I honestly don't use. Honestly, I
You
don't.
can't name a single example.
I'll tell you why.
There
Because I
it
don't
is.
actually use that for you feed anymore because I just don't particularly like it.
But you
And
said
actually,
you-
a lot of people are quite similar. I only look at
hang on a second.
following.
You said you've seen more hateful content, but you can't name a single example, not even one.
Not even one, and he just said he used it, and then he just said that he sees an uptick in hateful speech, but now he's saying that he doesn't use it. Unbelievable.
I'm not sure I've used that feed for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and
Well, then how did you see that hateful content?
Because I've been using Twitter since you've taken it over for the last 6 months.
Okay, so then you must have at some point seen for you hateful content.
Yeah.
And I'm asking for one example.
Right.
And you can't give a single one.
And I'm saying
I say, sir, that you don't know what you're talking about.
really.
Just
Yes,
calls
because you
him
can't
out.
give me a single example of hateful content, not even one tweet. And yet you claimed that the hateful content was high.
Well,
Dagger. And that's why it says he slaughtered the BBC reporter. And listen, as believers, our goal, especially when we're sharing the gospel, our goal isn't, aha, I got you. It's to really see people's hearts come to the Lord. And the same thing with Elon Musk. I think here, I don't think he's trying to slaughter the person. I think he's just trying to point out, like, hey, you gotta tell the truth. You're asking me these questions that aren't true, and now look, I just got you, and you're lying. And I think that's where he's at right here.
That's a false.
no. What I claimed,
just lied.
What I claimed was there are many organisations that say that kind of information is on the rise. Now, whether it has on my
Give me
feed
one
or
example.
not. I mean, right, and
Literally
you can
can't
look at
name
something
one.
like the Strategic Dialogue Institute in the UK. They will say that. So
Look, people will say all sorts of nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm literally asking for a
Right.
single example, and you can't name one.
right.
That's the thing too, and I'm guilty of this too. When people are saying something about somebody, don't just say, "Oh, that's what that person is," I guess, because you're going through another channel and not going right to the source. It's the same thing with the Bible. People are like, "Oh, it's hateful and all that." Well, did you actually open the Bible and did you read it? Did you go to the source? Same thing with this situation where he says this reporter is saying, "Oh, this person said this about Twitter." It's like, well, how about you go to the source? And that's what Elon Musk is saying here as well.
Right, and as I already said, I don't use that feed. But
Well, then how would you know that?
I don't think this is getting anywhere.
You literally said you experienced more hateful content,
Yeah.
and then couldn't name a single example.
Right, and as I said,
That's absurd.
I haven't actually looked at that feed.
Then how would you know there's hateful content?
Because I'm saying that's what I saw a few weeks ago. I can't give you an exact example. Let's move on. We only have a certain amount of time.
Wow.
COVID misinformation.
Unreal.
You
Amazing.
You changed the COVID misinformation.
Has
rules.
BBC changed its...
I'm glad he did because COVID was a mess. Let's just be honest. Even if you were a supporter of the mask and stuff like that, the whole thing was a mess.
COVID misinformation?
The BBC does not set the rules on Twitter, so I'm asking you.
No, I'm talking about the BBC's misinformation about COVID.
Yeah.
I'm literally asking you about, you changed the labels, the COVID misinformation labels. There used to be a policy, it then disappeared. Why do that?
Well, COVID is no longer an issue.
Yeah.
Does the BBC hold itself at all responsible for misinformation regarding masking and side effects of vaccinations?
Yep. Yep. And it's just the how everything was pushed so fast was just a big red flag for me. And I'll keep things kind of private, but I mean, you guys know how my stance on a lot of things, so you can probably figure out what I'm trying to talk about. But whenever the government, whenever they're giving out something for free, there's an issue. The government never gives out anything for free, and they want your tax money as fast as possible. So that whole situation was just a big red flag for me. And during a lot of COVID, I was praying for wisdom and discernment, and the Lord really revealed to me a lot of stuff. And listen, If government is your God and that's what you rely on, good luck, man, because they do not care about you. They do not care about you. So, and that's why we need less government and not more government controlling stuff. That's what Elon Musk is talking about right now too. When you start controlling free speech, we got a big problem. And there's plenty of examples out there in the world. So, and I'll leave it at that.
And not reporting on that at all? And what about the fact that the BBC was put under pressure by the British government to change its editorial policy? Are you aware of that?
This is not an interview about the BBC.
Oh, you thought it wasn't?
I see now why you've done Twitter Spaces. I am not a representative of the BBC's editorial policy. I want to make that clear. Let's talk about something else. If you want to talk about the BBC,
you too.
All right, let's talk about something else.
You weren't expecting.
Let's go. So you weren't expecting that. Listen, that's Elon Musk just destroying a BBC reporter. And again, listen, I don't want to speak for Elon Musk because he might have wanted to slaughter the BBC reporter, but I think Elon Musk is all about just getting down to truth. And if you look at other interviews that he's had and things of that nature, he's trying to find truth. He's pursuing truth. Now, I don't know where he stands in his faith and things of that nature. I believe he doesn't believe in Jesus. He had a thing on, I forget what that one website is, the Babylon Bee, I think it was. He sat down with them and they asked him if he would accept Christ into his heart. And he kind of danced around the question. So I don't believe he gave his life to Christ. The jury's still out on him, but like I said, you can still support things that somebody says, but maybe not support that person entirely. So in this interview, like I said, Elon Musk was on point with what he was saying to this guy, and it's true. We need to stop calling things we dislike hate speech. That's one of the things that I wanted to start with, and also the last and final point that I want to make is. This is a perfect example of why there has to be ultimate truth and there has to be absolute truth, because if you don't have absolute truth, then it becomes my truth and people are always going to be battling, okay, this is my truth, but this is my truth. How can you say that this is hate speech because this is my truth? There has to be the truth. And guys, if you truly break it down and if you truly see it that way, then you need to understand that there has to be an absolute truth for us to have even morality and right and wrong. And like I said, I'm a Christian. I truly believe that the Bible is true, that Jesus Christ is true. And it's up to you. I'm not going to force anything on you. I'm glad you're watching this page. But listen, I'm telling you, if you give your life to Christ, it's the greatest decision you'll ever make. So, great interview. I loved it. It was incredible. I woke up to it. I was like, wow, got him. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, continue to follow the page. We give God the glory in every video that we do. Make sure to check out the first comment. There are going to be a link there. And put your reaction request. If you wanted to hop to the front of the line, make sure you put it there. And I will check out anything. I'll check out interviews, music videos, sports highlights, whatever it may be. Put it there. God bless. Catch you on the next video.